I wish I had the picture. I posted somewhere.
Yeah, we've got.
I gotta find it one day, dude.
Catch and release, baby. Into the cooler. Absolutely, and we're here overcoming our off-season blues. This is perfect. This is our therapy session, we like to call it. Stay happy in the winter. It's very cold out there. But anyway, sort of before we sort of get into the Fisherman and sort of your involvement with the organization, the magazine, walk us through sort of how you got into fishing and, you know, when you realized, okay, this is not just a hobby. I have to do something more with this.
So my start into fishing was pretty textbook, like what you would, describe like everybody else's start.
Yeah.
Father took me fishing as a kid.
Yeah.
Started in the freshwater, lakes on Long Island. We would go on trips up to Lake George and stuff like that. We do fishing up there. So it was really textbook, like my start. Like, again, father took me fishing on the party boats, stuff along those lines.
Sure.
I always enjoyed it. But as I grew more and more and as I was able to drive, that opened up a lot of opportunities for me. So I would say really when I got my license in high school and I was able to start driving, I made friends that fished, stuff along those lines. I would say when I really got pushed into fishing a lot was when I started working at the tackle shop.
Yeah.
So, obviously that's what you do every day.
Sure.
You live, breathe, sleep fishing at that point. I met all these new people, all these different ways of fishing, got into surf fishing a lot. So that kind of stuff really just pushed me right into fishing. And I realized I loved it at that point, and that's pretty much where my start was. And from there, I just became a nut about it is pretty much what it comes down to. I mean,
like all of us.
You got hooked like all of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that makes sense. And is there a specific trip you would say that if you were to think of all the trips you went on growing up, is there one that stands out as sort of the moment where you feel like, okay, I'm super hooked? Or would you say it was sort of just general throughout your childhood building up?
I don't know if it was any of my childhood trips that really, I would say, really hooked me. There was memorable, like things I remember. I did a lot of freshwater fishing.
Got it.
A lot of freshwater
all
fishing.
Spin fishing and
a lot of spin, all the
it.
local lakes. I would go to like Blydenburg, which obviously is a stream right now, unfortunate. There's all local lakes. Patchogue had a lot of lakes where I lived in that area. I liked trout fishing at the lakes when they stocked the lakes every year. Yeah. It's like a tradition for me.
Yeah.
So those really weren't memorable, but there was some trips that I, more in the saltwater when I first started out, that kind of just stick out to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That this one trip, I'll tell you guys a quick story. When I first started, I had a buddy that I used to fish with. And back then, before I worked at a tackle shop, I worked at a catering hall. I did that, and we used to, I used to go cater, do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I got out of work, and I went to this random spot in Patchogue, and I had, I dug clams. So I dug clams, like, with my buddy, like the day before or something like that. And we didn't have bait because none of the tackle shops were open at 11 o'clock at night when I got out of work.
Sure.
So I was taking these cherry stone-sized clams and opening them up. And I was just putting a bunch on the hook. And I was like, oh, we're going to go for striped bass to see if we catch anything. Dude, we caught a bunch of striped bass.
That's awesome.
No way.
On clams we dug in the bay.
That is unreal.
And, I caught, 15-pound fish, 18-pound fish.
Yeah, it's great.
In a random spot. And it just was one of those things that was very memorable to me. I have the picture somewhere. I don't know where it is. Yeah. But it's me with the striped bass holding it in a full catering uniform with the with the bow tie on.
That's amazing.
So that's like one of those memorable stories that we're talking about.
Sounds like something we would do.
I was wearing a bow tie catching striped bass. I wish I had the picture. I posted somewhere.
We've got
I gotta find it one day, dude.
We've got a couple of pictures and button downs on the boat coming out of work.
I think so. It's our usual weekend MO. Probably be a good magazine cover too.
Definitely. Yeah. I'd love to see something like that because remember back in the day, the guys, they would fish in Montauk on these like big piers that went out.
Yeah.
And they were wearing like top hats. They were like dressed like gentlemen going fishing in Montauk for striped bass on these piers that the surf clubs would build for these people. But they dressed, to the nines. They had tailcoats on and stuff like that.
Oh, whenever you see all the pictures.
And they were catching striped bass from Montauk Point. So it kind of reminds me of that.
Wow.
Whenever you see all the old pictures of them hanging marlins and tunas back in the day, they're all dressed. They look great. They got the big trousers on and the button downs. And,
sounds like we need a new East End Angler uniform.
Yeah, I don't know if this merch is going to cut it. But got new merch launching this year.
Exactly. That is true. So walk us through sort of next. So that's how you got into fishing. Where sort of did your work start with the magazine? And did you grow up reading it like we did, I'm assuming? And sort of how did you get involved? I mean, remember we were in our buddy's place in Fort Myers like last weekend. He was showing us a picture of his grandpa on the cover of Fisherman Magazine.
Yeah.
From I don't know what year that was.
I had to be, I don't know, 40s, 50s. Yeah, I mean, what's the history of Fisherman Magazine? And again, like Andrew said, how did you get involved?
So the magazine itself has the Long Island edition of the magazine which is where it started. Has been around since 1966.
Got it.
So it has a long history.
Yeah.
Long roots on Long Island, the magazine itself. My start to the magazine, I'm coming up on, it's over 5 years now. I've been with the magazine. Pretty much how it started was during my time at the tackle shop. The person who I worked for said, hey, you're really into fishing. You should maybe consider like writing an article. I know the guy who runs the magazine. At the time, it was Fred Galfaro. He was the editor for the Long Island edition of the magazine. He's the guy who would take all the submissions, all the stories and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, why not? I was never really much of a writer in school, but I had the passion for fishing. And that was the most important part of the whole thing, was I had the passion for fishing. Totally. So obviously the words came naturally when it's something you like to talk about.
Totally.
If we were talking about, a gardening magazine or something like that, I don't think I'd be as successful. But he said, you should try writing an article. And we'll send it over to Fred, and we'll see if he likes it, and we'll go, see if we can get it published. So I wrote an article. I think the article was about fishing the jetties on Long Island, something along those lines, bucktailing the jetties. Wrote the article. I guess apparently Fred liked the article, and he actually ended up publishing it in the magazine, which I was very grateful for.
Oh, that's cool.
So I ended up doing actually a couple more articles because he asked me to do a few more.
Yeah.
I did a few for Surfcast. I think I did 1 or 2 for Surfcasters Journal as well. Really nice guys over there. I think Dave Anderson was the editor at the time.
Okay.
Who's one of my coworkers now.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's a great guy.
Wow.
So I think I did like 1 or 2 for him also. And one thing led to another, and I started doing a couple seminars. At local clubs, stuff like that. And then eventually Fred asked me to do a seminar at the Hilton show that we do every September, on Long Island. At the time it was the surf show, and I did a seminar on striped bass fishing from the surf. Apparently he must have watched the seminar, and he must have enjoyed it. And he said I did a good job, so that was cool. Nice. And one day I get a phone call from Mike Caruso, who is the owner publisher of the magazine right now.
Sure.
And he goes, hey, we'd like you to come down to the office and interested if you want to do some video with us, like content video. And I said, yeah, why not? I've done stuff before. I was doing some stuff with St. Croix at the time. We were doing some rods, and I was helping them with some of the designs on the rods and kind of things along those lines.
Yeah.
So I get down to the office. At the time, we had an office in Shirley. We had a physical office location. And it was Mike and Fred at the desk. And they said, hey, thanks for coming down. We'd really love for you to do a video with us. But actually, we came down here to see if you're interested in me, becoming the next editor of the Long Island edition of Fisherman Magazine. And I was taken back because that's not what I expected, showing up there at that time.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, guys, I'm honored. Fred was doing this for 40 years or so before, I know other guys as well. Doc Muller, I believe Tom Melton was the editor at one point too for the magazine.
Okay.
But at the time, Fred was doing Long Island, and Fred was getting older, so he was looking to step down in a lesser capacity at the magazine. So I said, hey, I got some other stuff going on. Let me think on it.
Yeah.
It's a big decision. Let me think on it. So a week went by, and Mike called me again, and he said, what do you think? And I said, I think I'm going to take the job. And I took the job, and I've been there since. And for that first year, I spent a lot of time with Fred, learning a lot of stuff from him, information that I'm forever grateful for. And the name Fred Galfaro in Long Island fishing, and and a lot of fishing, aspects for that matter. A lot of respect behind that name because he was one of the top guys. Like I said, had the honor, the privilege of knowing him very personally,
Yeah.
very close for that time. I didn't know him as long as a lot of other people,
Sure.
but I spent every day with him for a year straight, pretty much.
Yeah.
And we got along very well. We did a lot. We fished together. He showed me a lot of things. Again, the job itself. Always forever grateful about the time I spent with Fred. So, but then obviously, as you guys know, he did pass away. After that, me joining the magazine.
Yeah.
Very sad. But again, that's pretty much my start to the magazine. And I've been at the Reigns of Long Island for over
Pretty
5
cool.
years now.
Just following your passion.
Yeah,
That's
man.
how you ended up here.
Yeah, it is a passion job.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's a lot of fun, and to live, breathe, and talk fishing is just it really is considered. I consider that the dream.
100%. I mean, we definitely agree with that. I mean, that's sort of our goal with East End Angler, right? At a certain point, I mean, if we can leave our desk jobs and move on to do this full time, I mean, hell yeah, that'd be the dream, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think that's always cool. I talk about how fishing is just like a universal language, It's kind of like music. It's like anything. I mean, Andrew and I, we've got a funny origin story. We met through a guy that I met on the train in New York City who was wearing a Jared Bay hat. And I was like, it's a pretty cool boat company. Do you work there? He's like, no, but I'm a big fisherman. Chopped it up with him, and he had met Andrew in Long Island through East End Angler, and that's how we got connected. And the first time we ever ended up on a boat together, I think we had talked like for 5-10 minutes on the phone, something like that. And then you get stuck on a boat for 24 hours with each other, and you get off the boat, and you're like best buddies,
100%. And we do laugh about that a lot. It's like we barely knew each other, and then one trip we were best friends.
Yeah.
And it's like, especially when it's my dad and his friends, like you guys, the young guys, you take the graveyard shift. So we're up all night, and everyone else is sleeping. So it's a lot of time to spend with someone, especially 100 miles out in the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. You find out real quick whether or not you want to go back out there.
Definitely.
You find out real quick.
Yes, you do. And by the way, the guy who he ran into on the train recognized us. We were at Whitewater Outfitters. The guy comes out to us and he says, "Hey, you're Andrew and Will from East End Angler. I recognize you guys from the Fisherman Magazine weekly reports."
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So there you go.
Full circle,
So
man.
technically, it's full circle.
Yeah.
I mean, without Fisherman Magazine, we wouldn't have met.
Yeah, it's
There you
crazy.
go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty
Full
cool.
circle.
So I guess what have you learned about, working with people, being at Fisherman, working within the fishing space? Obviously, the fishing community is really tight, and it's, a referral basis, right? And, every connection kind of multiplies. So I guess how do you feel working in the fishing space, as opposed to other spaces? Obviously, this has been your main media coverage, but
So the one thing I could say, and I sit back and think about this stuff sometimes,
Yeah.
About what I do for work,
Yeah.
there's so many other jobs you could do out there, and the one thing I always remember at the end of the day is what I do brings people enjoyment and happiness.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
jobs out there that, again, great jobs. There's so many other jobs out there that people are very thankful for.
Yeah.
But my job, everything that it involves, what I produce, what we put out to the fishermen, all of it brings people some sort of happiness in some sort of way, in some sort of capacity. We all do this for recreation, to be happy.
yeah.
Yeah.
We do this as maybe some sort of therapy outlet, maybe because we just, like to fish. Yeah. Whatever reason we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what I do revolves around a recreational activity that people do for fun.
Yeah.
And I always keep that in mind because I'm grateful about that. There's no real negative stuff, associated with the job itself, that kind of stuff. There's no I mean, obviously there's challenges that comes with any job for that matter. But the challenges are all, worked through. And in the end, it's truly about, making people happy and, giving them good content and just having fun while doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I mean, obviously Fisherman's a great publication, and as media changes and whatnot, how are you guys continuing to evolve with the evolving media space? Obviously you guys do a lot of stuff that other publications don't do, so we'd just love to kind of know how you see yourself existing in this kind of new media age. And it's obviously a long-tailed question, but
Well,
curious.
as you guys know, the magazine, up until probably before I joined, every issue was print.
Yeah.
We do 38 issues a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
12 monthly issues. The rest are the weekly issues.
Yep.
We actually switched over the format to 12. We still do the print, which people love. They love that print magazine.
Oh, I
I'm
love
sure
them.
you
I
guys-
buy them every time I see them,
Right.
man.
And we framed the cover from, there was one I was on and then the one Will was on. So we,
Yeah,
we
Will-
had,
Great
remember we
shot.
had you guys send us extra
Will printed it
copies.
for
We could
us,
put it
man.
on.
He framed it for us. He's like, you got to put it above your bed.
Next
The
to
one
our
with
little
him on it?
Yeah, the one with
Next
the
to
elephant
candles
on
and a
it.
little shrine. Yeah.
Did he sign it for you guys too?
We weren't so lucky, man.
Print magazine, great piece of media. Everybody loves to have that print magazine
Yeah.
in your hands.
Sure, yeah.
Obviously, we switched to digital issues with the weeklies, so we have that as well. And a lot of people they receive their content in digital form now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do the digital issues, we do the monthly print issues, we do all the videos, which you guys are a part of.
Yeah.
We do the weekly video fishing forecast. We do a lot of videos where we cover products.
Yep. And the offshore reports now, like last
We
season.
we get into the offshore reports. That's a new thing.
Yeah.
We just do more on the video side, more on that digital side, stuff like that. We're trying to expand our horizons. Obviously, it's stuff that you have to do in today's day and age.
Yeah, of course.
Times have changed a lot in the past. I'd say at least 5 years, 10 years or so.
Definitely.
There's a big gravitation towards that digital side of everything.
Yeah.
Social media stuff.
Yep.
So we try and get out there with boats, captains, companies, just notable anglers for that matter.
Yeah.
And we usually bring along Tim, which you guys
course.
know Tim.
Yeah,
Tim does
yeah.
a great job shooting the videos.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Mike shoots some great videos as well. We even the editors, we all try and capture video as well. So we've definitely progressed into capturing more media as far as like on the camera goes.
Yeah.
These days, as well as still doing the digital and print magazines.
Yeah.
Which again, they love that kind of content.
Yeah.
So it's just people like the open to open up the magazine, and sometimes they like to scroll on their phone and look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever way they want to receive their content, we are offering that to them now.
And have you seen, do you think, because there's the whole age-old debate or question, I guess, where it's like, okay, social media, it's made everyone's attention span so much shorter. Have you found that there has been validity to that, and it's sort of posed challenges for sort of, I guess, holding people's attention, I guess, if you will, on longer form things? Or would you say that, fishing obviously is a passion and you just have fishermen reading it, so it's not as much an issue? Because it's something we talk about a lot, right? Where we have a lot of our short form content on Instagram Reels that do really well. YouTube, when it's longer form, can be a bit different. It kind of just depends.
So here are my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
We have our long form content, which is great stuff. It's like TV. Oh, it's like TV episodes.
no,
Yeah.
that's
Again, the
awesome.
weekly video
Yeah,
fishing forecast goes 25 minutes, sometimes almost a half hour during the season when there's a lot of content on it.
Yeah.
Also, the short form videos. I've seen you guys do a lot of short form videos.
Yeah.
My thoughts on that is you have groups of people that receive content and media.
Yeah.
So you have people that are, they're invested in this. They know the magazine. They see the content come out. They watch the videos, from start to finish.
Yeah.
They watch the whole thing. Those are people that are already very involved in fishing.
Yeah.
And of course, there's people who maybe want to get into fishing that are like, oh, I'm going to watch this 20-minute video, 15-minute episode on fishing, whatever the topic may be. The reels and stuff like that, they reach a broader audience.
Yeah.
But the benefit to that is people that may not have been introduced to the world of fishing before, they see these reels, these short, things that grab their attention.
Yeah.
And it's cool to them. And then they say, oh, let me look more into this fishing thing.
Yeah. That's a good.
And
point.
then they start to translate over into the longer form content. They'll start to look at that kind of stuff more. So there's a place and a purpose for all different kinds of media.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the bait that brings in the fish, just like with fishing.
Maybe that's one way to put it. That's a good way to put
There you go, Andrew. What a way with words you have.
I really did. That's why
But it's all great stuff.
That's why they keep me around. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, but fishing in popularity in the past 10 years, I mean, I'm sure you've seen all the numbers on fishing popularity. It's crazy. It's crazy. Especially in
social media.
Social media and everything. Fishing is cool now, man. And when I was a kid, fishing wasn't cool. Now fishing is cool in popular culture.
I don't think you were hanging out with
like that, I guess.
You probably just weren't hanging out with cool people, dude. That's all.
Maybe a little bit of that too.
So also wanted to sort of hit on, there's certain trends you're seeing sort of in fishing media over the past, I know you were saying the past 5 years, there have been significant changes. Would you say like over the past couple years or maybe something longer, or there's sort of broader holistic trends that you feel like have been happening sort of in the fishing media space?
So the one thing I have to say is obviously the past 5 to 10 years with YouTube and all that stuff, and Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, social media has been a big player when it comes to fishing. Now we're in an age, the past 2 years, 2-3 years, AI is a big thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What's real and what's not real. People, you can make videos anything nowadays.
Oh, it's incredible.
The one thing that I have to say, which brings credibility back to the Fisherman Magazine, is there's a lot of people out there who, a lot of like non-authentic, there could be non-authentic content produced because of things like AI.
Right.
The one thing that people always, and I keep in mind, and people should remember, is that the Fisherman is it's an authentic, a natural, credible source of fishing media.
It's like a legacy brand.
And it almost, people start to see like a lot of this AI stuff nowadays, and they kind of lose they're like, oh, that can't be, they kind of lose, like, people can lose credibility almost.
Yeah.
But the one good thing about the Fisherman Magazine is we've always been authentic. We've always been very natural with the way we do things. So I think that even with the introduction of AI and all this artificial stuff into all media for that matter, but the fishing world we're talking about, people look back to the Fisherman because they know that, we're natural, we're credible, authentic.
Yeah. It's definitely important. I mean, that's so critical to your point exactly nowadays. I mean, it's funny. We were just talking with Gage before, but there was actually a trip 2 years ago where we were catching swordfish on jigs at night. And I can't tell you how many people were messaging us being like, this is fake, this is AI, like you staged this. And I'm like, honestly, and this was like a year and a half ago, like before AI was really like forefront. Yeah. So it would have been pretty impressive to do that, honestly. Like probably more impressive than reeling in the swordfish, maybe. It'd be difficult.
Oh, they tried to get me too on one thing.
Yeah.
We put up a picture. It was like an article that I wrote, and it was a striped bass I caught. It was like 35 pounds.
Yeah. Nice fish.
And I guess a bunch of I don't even know if they were like sometimes the posts get like mixed in with like people who I don't even know if they're like they know the magazine, but it goes out to those it gets caught in their algorithm.
Sure.
And they're like, oh, that's AI. And I'm like, dude, like,
man, I got a fishing magazine.
I'm like, bro, of all people like to fake something. Like, I'm not the guy to fake something. Yeah. Thankfully, like a dozen people who actually know who I am. Yeah. They're like, you guys are nuts for even like insinuating that Matt is gonna like do something like that. Yeah. But, and I was looking at the people's pictures, and they were just all like, I didn't even think these people fished before. Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, that's crazy. Like how they even like. But their instinct was to say, that's AI. Like, and I was like, that's insane. Like, people don't even know me.
100%. That's the unfortunate part.
I had a lot of, like I said, people that I fished with throughout the years, and people who know who I am and stuff like that. They they didn't have to say anything, but they were like,
of course,
they were like, like you guys don't know even what you're talking about right now. Like I fished with Matt before. I believe me, I know. Like this is.
There's
legit.
always gonna be people like that.
Yeah, I think it's just people are so like psyched out with like all the AI stuff that their natural instinct is big fish, like that might be AI.
Yeah, 100%. Or they can't catch that 35-pound bass.
I don't know. I don't know. Whatever it is, man. I have no idea, but I definitely see that as a trend popping up. Yeah. People they're kind of doubting what they see on social media, whether it's fact or fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like sort of guilty until proven innocent, I guess, if you will, which is just like so. Yeah, it's just so messed up.
Right, and I'm like, guys, like I have of all people, like I have nothing, to prove.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like. And it was like what, like last spring when you and Will went fishing for weakfish, and crushed him. By the way, that was epic. And I was like, I think I was at my office or something. Like I had to work, and of course Will was sending me a ton of pictures as he likes to do when I'm working. But and as much as I wanted to believe those were photoshopped, I was like, man, this is just insane. I mean, these were huge weakfish. I mean, it was like unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a good trip.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
I got a question. Speaking of that, I mean, Will, we love Will, obviously, but he's always saying, you got to film. And a lot of what we kind of, I wouldn't say struggle with, but think about is, obviously we're fishermen first, and we are
100%.
content creators second,
Absolutely.
whatever you want to call it, content
Except
creator.
for Will,
right?
maybe though. He might be a content creator.
Will is now a lifestyle influencer. If you tap into
Love you,
East End
buddy.
Angler, I love you, bud.
Yeah.
But how do you kind of balance it? Because I've only been doing the East End Angler stuff with them for a year and a half, and especially in the beginning, it's hard to like figure out how you balance the fishing and the media and make sure that you don't, the last thing any of us would want to happen is have our passion, become corrupted, right, by making it feel like work or a business. But obviously, then you gotta deliver content. So, just kind of curious, as your full-time job, how do you balance that?
So thankfully, and obviously, like you guys, I'm not I'm a fisherman first.
Yeah.
I'm not a I'm not a videographer.
Yeah, exactly.
I get a good photo once in a while because I know what to look for when it comes to taking a proper photo, maybe for a cover or something like that, or an article photo.
Yeah.
So I do look for that. Like if there's something about it. Like I've kind of transitioned a little bit from strictly fishing to where I appreciate taking a good photo of somebody else.
Sure. Yeah.
That would make a great cover photo. And I'm like, wait, hold that up. Turn it this way. I want the light on it that way, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I almost developed a small passion for pulling off that really good shot.
Yeah.
And it's kind of part of it. Like sometimes you have to step back and be like, wait, I want to get like that person. Like I want to capture that.
Yeah.
And you have to know when to disconnect once in a while.
Yeah,
Obviously, there's time and place for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get caught up in the madness, as we know. But there's a time and place where you have to sit back sometimes and be like, let me sit back and get my camera out and capture this.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we also have Tim on staff who, if we are going out with the sole goal of capturing content, that's all Tim does, and he does a great job at it. Because we've been in some sick bites before, and I'm like, Tim, grab a rod, fish. he's like, nope.
He's like, nope, I'm good. You're like, thank God for that.
Yeah, you got to balance it.
So he does good with that. And a lot of the fishing, I do a lot of fishing just purely for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At night, it's hard to capture stuff at night.
Yeah.
Photos come out terrible sometimes.
Never. Yeah, never good.
So I get my good fill of fishing for myself. Where I don't have to worry about, I have to capture this picture of this, this shot I need or something. If it comes across, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
If I have a buddy with me who says, hold on, let me take a picture, and he takes a great picture, so be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I fish for me, and I fish for my my fulfillment and my pleasure.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really come to mind unless the opportunity arises, and if the opportunity arises.
Yeah.
If you catch a 10-pound fluke or a 50-pound striped bass or that giant tuna, you're like, all right, we got to take a picture of this thing.
Oh, 100%.
And then
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
No, it's so true. And I think it's a great point you raised, right, too, in terms of, and it's something like for, the years Will and I have been doing East End Angler since, I guess it was during COVID we started, so now like 6 years. But, it's sort of having that appreciation for the moment and like having the appreciation, as you said, for just sort of the cinematography sort of aspect of it and just having that picture because, I remember growing up, we had some really awesome pictures when I was a kid. And I look for those pictures and they're non-existent. It's like we had these great trips and my dad will be like, oh yeah, remember that time we got that fish? I'm like, Dad, I was like 7. Like, I don't remember that. But, like had I had the picture, had I had videos, like had I had, the sort of like tangible things to refer it to, like it makes that memory that much stronger.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's something like I try to think of a lot too when we're out filming. And
especially what you said about having like a passion about creating, the content, right? I think that's a really good way to frame it.
And I fully support, capturing the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and again, there's really no excuses nowadays because to capture a moment.
It's so easy too.
It's so easy.
We put an Insta. We just got an Insta 360, and the thing.
That's a great tool.
Just sit in the rod holder, man, and
the thing is sick.
It's nothing.
Yeah, we've been using that thing too.
Yeah,
it's a great tool to have to capture content.
100%. Or the GoPro mounts too.
Yes.
Like the Ethan, like I always wear the head mount, and like it works, but it's just like a little.
It looks a little
looking.
goofy,
but I'm a goofy guy, so like, whatever. But Ethan has one you can just clip around your neck, and it's like
the
so
neck
much
mounts
easier.
are great.
The neck mount, and it's like right here. So much easier because the head mount, it's like I get all excited, I'm like jigging catching a tuna, my head's going like this, and then the camera could fall
Actually,
off.
I've been looking into I might get them soon is the Meta glasses.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've been hearing great
They're
things
great.
about it,
They
man.
have anti-stable. They have like stabilization
Yeah,
built
yeah,
into
yeah.
them.
Oh yeah.
My buddy uses them, and he's like, "You got to get them."
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so that might be my next thing to
right.
get, because it's like more of a it's there. Like you don't really have to worry about
Yeah.
it.
Oh, it's so much easier once you already have it on you. You know.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
there's
once you-
sunglasses too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they serve a purpose.
Yeah, they're
besides,
great.
besides just capturing content.
Yeah.
I was never the GoPro guy. Like it kind of like interfered
Yeah.
with like
Makes sense.
yeah, but like the glasses. Like obviously we all wear sunglasses when we fish. Yeah, I might pick up some of those
That's
because
cool.
maybe I can capture some cool stuff.
Do
on
they
that
make
too.
them with like the sort of like polarized shades built into them? Sort
Yeah,
of, for, like,
sunglasses.
so they're
Yeah.
full on sunglasses.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Wow.
yep.
Oh, that's
So-
cool. Maybe we'll look into this. Meta, if you're watching this, if you want to sponsor Easton
Yeah.
Angler, the Fisherman Magazine,
Might
you know
be
where
it.
to find us. Exactly. But so also just kind of lastly wanted to sort of close out to ask you, is there anything in the 2026, 2027 that's coming up for the Fisherman Magazine that's new that you're super excited about, that you want to talk about, or that you're looking forward to? I know we hit on the offshore reports already, but sort of expanding those or other projects you guys are working on.
Yeah, actually, there's a couple. So obviously the offshore reports.
Yeah.
That was the first one. We slowly rolled that out
Yeah.
at the end of last season.
Yeah.
Obviously, the tuna season kind of came to a very quick close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that didn't
Yeah, we were
really,
talking
that
about that.
didn't really,
Point of
we
contention.
didn't really get to get too much content out there with that. But we
Yeah.
are pushing forward with the offshore reports for 2026. We are starting a podcast too.
Oh, there you
Awesome.
go.
We've already done some pilot episodes.
Oh, sweet.
Cool.
So we are in the process of that. It's gonna be
Well, we owe you one back if you need us.
yeah,
100%.
absolutely,
We'd
guys.
love to go on it,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's gonna. I think we're gonna do a little roundtable kind of thing with me, Dave Anderson up in New England, and Jim Hutchinson in New Jersey, Delaware Bay.
Sweet.
Nice.
So we're gonna be, just general fishing chat.
Awesome.
More to come on that as well.
Okay.
So those are two projects that we are definitely pushing forward for 2026.
Got it.
What about any trips? You got any trips? You know, you were
There's
just
always trips popping
You were
up,
talking
man.
about clamming through the ice before we got on
yeah,
the
tell us more about that.
on the
That was
air.
just a passion goal. That was,
I don't know if I'll meet you out there.
that
for
wasn't a fisherman project.
I'll meet you in the Keys, but I don't know if I'm going clamming
Hey,
through
man,
the
that,
ice
that
with
was
you.
just a that was just more of like a passion kind of thing
Yeah.
for me. I was telling you guys before, I'm very big into nautical history,
Yeah.
how things were done back in the day,
Yeah.
and we have a cold winter this year.
Mm-hmm.
So almost a foot of ice in some spots on the
crazy,
bay,
man.
which is insane because
Insane.
we haven't had that in years.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
The entire Hudson's frozen over
Yeah,
too. It's
I
nuts.
mean, I probably
Yeah.
could walk across the bay.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to. That would be it's sketchy, but it's thick enough where Let me rewind back. Back in the 70s and 80s,
yeah.
the clammers on the Great South Bay here in Long Island, they would cut holes in the ice to still be able to work in the winter,
Incredible.
and they would shove their rakes through the ice in the holes, and obviously they would get clams that they would be able to sell still to market.
Yeah.
Probably not as good as obviously they do on the boat, but
Yeah.
they would still get out there and be able to work.
Yeah.
They would cut these holes with chainsaws, ice
It's
saws,
crazy, man.
Wow.
and it was just an insane
Wow.
old school way of these dedicated hardcore baymen still getting out there and doing what they their job,
Yeah.
and obviously I guess what they love to do.
Yeah.
And I said, and we haven't been, that hasn't happened in years. I have never seen anybody do this since I've seen the pictures
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the 70s and 80s, and with the Great South Bay Bridge in the background.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody do it since then. Obviously, we haven't had a lot of cold winters since then.
Yeah.
We had a cold winter this year, and I said, man, I wanna just say I did.
You might
this.
have one shot to do it.
One
You
shot.
gotta-
I wanna
you
say-
gotta- you
I
gotta
wanna
do it.
I want to say I did this. So I went out and hacked a hole in the ice. We used the saw, cut a hole in the ice, and we slid the ice underneath. And I slid the rake in there, and I dug enough clams for dinner,
Oh, that's sick.
just to say I did it. So
Wow.
I could cross that off the bucket list.
cool.
Just
Sick.
did something that the guys did back in the 70s and 80s, and almost like a tribute to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the stuff that these guys did that people may have or may not have forgotten about, but will be good to remind them about.
Oh, it's great perspective, man. When we're complaining about our jobs, like you could have been,
Yeah.
trying to dig clams through the ice. I mean, that's some real hard work
Yeah,
right there.
yeah. So just like I said, I could cross down right off the bucket list because
Yeah.
I have no reason to do it again.
Yeah, exactly. You did work up a little sweat, though. You were saying, right? It was.
Dude, it
you
was
were
hot
layered
out.
up and up. Yeah.
Where I was, there was no wind. It was like the ice reflects off you.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna be freezing out here, and after like a half hour, I was like cutting a hole and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
like, damn, it's hot out there. I'm like sweating, man.
And you look at it, it's 18 degrees outside.
I think it was like it was a brisk 10.
Sorry to give you too much
Nice.
credit there.
That's nice and toasty.
Yeah,
It's good.
but it wasn't bad. It was not bad.
good.
Today's worse.
Yeah, today
With the
definitely
wind
is.
chill, it's a lot
Man.
worse.
I mean, the wind is really all of it. Like,
Yeah.
I know I was saying this before we started the episode, but I was out clamming also. Not in the ice though; it wasn't frozen yet, but it was still cold, a lot of wind. I think I wore like 8 layers. And like a lanky guy like me, right? The blood circulation can be tough. The fingers and the toes. Like I got to really bundle more than most, and it was frigid. I think my whole issue though was I didn't have the proper gloves on that like could cinch down. So
Glove-
like
your hands
the
and your feet.
outside, that's
Hands
the
and feet,
problem.
man.
That's what
like
I
I was
got
wearing
first.
waders,
Extremities.
exactly. So the bottom was fine, but the top, my gloves had like a little gap,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got one good, I guess, scoop, if you will, or whatever, harvest of clams. Thank God the first one was good because after that, I didn't notice my hands went in the water. Water got inside the glove.
you're
I was
done.
like, I'm done.
Done.
That's
So like
done.
once your
Yeah,
hands are
done.
done, like you're cooked. That's
Yeah,
it.
you're done. You
Yeah.
got to keep your hands warm. You got to keep your feet warm.
Yeah.
That'll get you real quick. That
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah,
You know.
big time. But it was great having that sort of like, we always talk about it in Eastern Angler, like the whole seated table experience. Like we made like a chorizo and clam paella that night, which was great, and like we had some extra clams. We just like steamed them and like some white wines and like garlic, and it's like just being able
One
to
of my
do that.
favorites. Yeah.
So
I'm doing a
simple and
chowder
so
actually
good.
with these ones.
Oh,
there you
really?
go.
Yeah, I like a nice New England
You got our
clam
number,
chowder.
man. We can.
Hey, man, I make a good
I know.
chowder.
100%. 100%. Anyway, is there anything else you wanted to add before I close?
No, man. Just wanted to thank you. We'll definitely have to get you out on the boat and do
Yeah,
some tuna
100%.
fishing this summer. We'll go.
Yeah.
Tuna, we'll get some of those big weak fish again.
100%.
Yeah,
That'd be
kidding me.
awesome.
Some of those.
That'd
Those
be
were
awesome.
We gotta do some shore fishing too, man. I mean, I'm not much of a surf caster, but I'd love to.
That's what I grew
I'd
up
love
doing.
to do it.
Surf casting. That was my bread and butter.
Yeah.
I got into the boat thing.
Yeah.
I got a couple skips now that I take out, and I
Sure.
do the light tackle fluke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
You
do
ever done the skishing thing?
No, I never did that. No, that's
that stuff's crazy.
Some
Every
guys
time
used
I
to
see
do
that Montauk
Not-
Point stuff.
I don't know if anybody does it anymore,
Really?
to my knowledge, but that was a thing for a little bit in
Yeah, I
Montauk.
remember.
I don't think I would put it as the juice ain't worth the squeeze.
Yeah, no, definitely ain't worth the squeeze.
Especially in Montauk, the game has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still fish out there to catch. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Plenty of fish, but to go swimming around and with the seals and the sharks nowadays.
No, it's
Man, I
Yeah,
don't.
not worth it.
could
You
find
know,
a better way to
I'd
spend your Saturday.
Yeah, I'd rather be on a jetty. In my opinion, I
Yeah.
don't think I have to swim around to do that kind of. I get it, adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
if you're catching fish, forget about it. It's probably sick.
Yeah.
But as far as like me doing that,
I'll
Yeah.
stick to shore of the boat.
Yeah. I
absolutely.
get that. That's sort of like, I feel like that's almost my feeling sometimes when like, Will oftentimes is like obsessed about going spearfishing. And like, I love spearfishing, don't get me wrong. But when it's like, mid-December for blackfish.
Yeah, he only likes doing it when it's so freaking cold.
I'm like, dude, let's go on like a sunny day in June. He's like, nah, let's just go for blackfish. And I'm like, okay, great. So going in our wetsuits and like, and then you're just shooting blackfish and then there's seals all around you. And I'm like, I haven't seen a shark, but there are a lot of seals here. I'm in a black wetsuit, probably look like a seal. Like, I don't know.
My
if this
buddy,
juice is
my
worth
buddy's
it.
a big spear fisherman.
Oh, yeah?
and my neighbor too.
Oh,
We
yeah?
actually talk. His goal this year was to shoot a yellowfin,
Oh yeah.
We've always wanted to do
but
that.
he got it. He came close.
Yeah.
He says it's very sketchy because there's a lot of sharks.
can
Oh
be.
yeah. I mean,
It
anytime
can
you're
be.
gonna do it, especially with the dragger stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, we
It's-
had a couple trips where we could have shot them from the boat.
100%,
I mean,
like aquarium, like hand feeding them.
yeah.
I will
Yeah.
tell a quick story before we wrap. But one of the reasons why, and we'll bring spear guns when we go on Will's boat.
yeah.
When we go on two docks, it's not allowed. And like my dad's like, I'm not allowing it. You can't do it. And it's all because about like maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, his buddy brought his spear gun. He used to bring him on every trip. And all the lobster buoys out there that could be like a quarter mile apart or less. And there's schools of mahi swimming around him, right? And so you're sight casting for him, like super fun. It's like fishing a barrel. He jumps in with his spear gun. He's like throwing mahi over the side. Like we're reeling him in, rod and reel. We're hopping pot to pot. And then we go maybe like 800 feet away to another pot. And he's like, you know what? My dad's buddy's like, you know what? Like, I think I'm going to sit this one out. Like, I'm just tired. Like, I'm not feeling it. Like, I'm going to rest. We're like, okay. We get to this lobster pot, which again is like 800 feet away from the other one. And there is about a 15-foot tiger shark just sitting there, like right next to the pot, like not moving, just like sitting there. And I say to him, I'm like, yeah, I guess you picked a good time to rest, didn't you?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And he's all nonchalant. He's like, it wouldn't have bothered me. I'm like, dude, if you have a bloody mahi in your hands, like, I don't think it's going to bother
There's
you.
something that's pretty sketchy. What is a 15-foot tiger shark?
Yeah. Those things don't mess around. So since then, outlawed on 2 docks. But on the persistence,
We bring
them.
guns.
We bring them.
Spear
But
guns.
we're obviously very careful about it. But yeah, it's
That's gotta be a
sketchy,
bucket
though,
list
man.
thing to shoot it to, spear gun tuna.
100%.
That's up there for me too.
Yeah.
So we'll get there eventually. But anyway, but thanks for tuning in, guys, for our first East Angler podcast. Thank you again, Matt, for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of
thanks,
course.
brother.
And we're looking forward to going on the Fisherman podcast and getting out together. So
Absolutely.
Cool.
Looking forward to 2026 season. More to come.
absolutely. All right.
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Cool.